All right. So I'm so happy today to have Rhonda Bell be part of my YouTube channel and be talking to you guys. So I'm not going to give away all her secrets, but I will say that I've known Rhonda for many years, and she is a wonderful person and has a plethora of knowledge and lots to offer. So you've never heard her before, this will be a great topic and conversation. So, and I guess I should back up since I didn't introduce myself. For those of you who don't know anything about me, I'm so sorry, I'm the worst at this stuff. So my name is Melissa Tompkins Lewis. I am a certified veterinary practice manager. I own my own consulting business, and I have my YouTube channel to talk about all things veterinary management, leadership, management related. We've done the COVID thing a few times now, and now we get to talk about other things. So today, my special guest is Rhonda Bell, the owner of docx Consulting, located out of San Antonio, Texas area. So I'm going to let her take it away and get started with her presentation today, where she's going to be talking about layoff to liftoff and making a difference with your career.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, we're going to talk about layoff to liftoff, but it's also going to be if we make the decisions to change what we're doing in veterinary medicine. Sometimes it's not our choice and sometimes it is. And sometimes we need to just make some moves that are more fulfilling to ourselves. So that's kind of what this talk is going to be about. And I didn't know that I would be moving into this conversation initially, because I do social media and brand management. Like that's my company. That's what I do. Right. So through my brand management work, I have talked to more and more people that are looking to reinvent themselves and reinvent their veterinary careers. So that was kind of an eye opener to me. It's kind of, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Whenever I started my company, I thought I'd be working with veterinary clinics and industry partners. And I find that I'm working with individuals a lot more and more on a one-to-one basis who are starting their own businesses, starting their own brands, and kind of working and building their own new world within veterinary medicine. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I go through and that I talk, with them about. Also, some of the times where people do get laid off and terminated and fired and, like Melissa's word, redistributed. And I was recently contacted by a manager on LinkedIn. She'd heard me speak when I was in New York last year. And she said, can you hand out my CV if people are asking for people? Can you mention me? Because I was found redundant. That's what the employer told her. Your role has been found redundant. Ew, that's just so, that just sucks. Like seriously, just to be told that you're found redundant. We have a place in this world and we're people. And so all the words that we use to describe career shifts and career changes, those have impacts. So let's get into this. I am going to attempt to advance my slide. There we go. So a little bit about me. I'm also a certified veterinary practice manager. I got my my CVPM in 2015, and I'm kind of doing my about me a little bit differently because I want to show you why and how I got into this particular conversation of career shifts. So I've been working in veterinary medicine, I think around 16 years, 16 plus. I'm not sure because I don't really, I just feel like I was always there, like probably born into it. I got sick and then later disabled and had to go into medical retirement in 2016. So again, these changes in your career aren't always related to getting fired or being found redundant or being redistributed. Sometimes it's medical. Sometimes we have things that cause us to have to make changes in what we're doing. I had to medically retire in 2016, and around that same time frame, Melissa was a part of my tribe at the time when I decided, and I told him, I'm like, well, I can't be in a veterinary practice, but I've got to do something in the veterinary industry. I can't give up. Like I've got to do something. And so I started my own business in 2017. So within 6 months of getting ill, I'd already filed for my formation for my business, and I founded docx Consulting. When I first founded, I thought, well, I'll just be a practice management consultant. And that, not to begrudge anybody consulting, Melissa, I'm not talking to you, sort of. There were just too many of us in the area. Like, even within my own group of friends, there was just too many of us. And I found that I really had to differentiate myself, and I had to niche down into the area of practice management, because as we know, there's a gabillion trillion things within that area that you could really focus on and be really good at. So I was super smart at that time and decided to pick something I was really bad at, because I know that most managers are, and that's marketing. We really suck at marketing. We don't do it enough. We don't allocate enough time for it. We don't really value it or fight for it or advocate for it whenever it comes to the dollars every year when we're working out that budget. And when it comes to wrestling the wallet away from the owner, we just don't. So I wanted to find ways and learn better ways of advocating for practices and helping practices market themselves digitally in cost-effective ways, because I know what that fight is about. Like, I literally know what it's like to get in the ring and fight for dollars to be able to do anything for the practice. So that's where I went back to school. I got additional training. I got some more certifications and really focused and honed in my skill set on digital and social media marketing. I then, as things progressed, realized with all the brand management stuff, wow, these people are really struggling. And there's a lot of people leaving the industry. And it was around the time with COVID as well. But people were already flooding out of the industry because we were burning them out. We're not paying enough. We're burning out. We have really hard, emotional, tumultuous jobs. So I wanted to know more about compassion fatigue and burnout. So I pursued that certification and learned a great deal with that. Through that, it opened more doors and kind of introduced me to the idea of, well, it's one thing to know the problems and understand that we've got compassion fatigue. That's a big, thank you, Captain Obvious, like, duh. What do we do about it? How do we help people? How do we coach people? So I didn't know how to coach. So I set out to learn how to coach, and I became a master life coach because I wanted to know, how do I teach these steps? It's one thing to have all the information. How do I help you take the information and make something out of it? So digital marketing, a couple of certifications in that, master life coach and compassion fatigue. All of these things occurred after I medically retired and stopped working in the practice, and my career was over. And I'm making that point not as a brag, but just as it ain't over. It's never over. You can rebuild and redo things even after you think you've hit bottom. I hit rock bottom. I was in an ICU. I'd had a heart attack. I couldn't even walk. So I was learning how to walk. And whenever I filed my formation documents for my business, my husband had to bring me my laptop because I couldn't get to my office. So it's never over. So I just want to tell you that as a point of encouragement and as a point of, we're going to go through some things. We're going to look at ways of monetizing. Melissa will tell you that I drive her nuts because every conversation we have, when it's a coaching call, I tell her 12 different ways she can monetize exactly what she just told me. She's like, yeah, I know. But that's the point of this conversation, because you don't realize the things that you are doing could be areas in a career that you could actually develop.
She did this to me the other day because so when you guys registered for this webinar today, I build my own landing pages, and I also built my own website. I use WordPress. So now I don't know that I could do any other program. WordPress has made it easier for me. So I actually like building the landing page and creating the stuff you guys are going to look at and how you're going to see the information for the webinar and then putting the register. I really enjoy doing that. And so Rhonda's like, well, you could probably sell to that other people because they don't necessarily want to do it. And I was like, but I don't know how to work with anything besides WordPress. So I don't know how I would do that otherwise. But it was just a funny dynamic of, could I do that professionally and do those things for other people? And I don't know, because I don't know if I can do it for anything besides WordPress, but it was still a good point of what else I could do to grow my own business of helping in different areas. So
the answer is yes, she could do it.
Yes, I know.
So I also became a speaker, a writer, an educator. And then I put in here master gardener. I set goals for myself every year, just something random that I don't know that I want to know. And 2022 into 23 was master gardener, and then this year is learning how to weld. So I have a welder, and not a man, but like a actual machine. And so I am working on learning that skill set because I just want to keep learning things and doing things. The stuff that I have welded has been a little scary, and one thing didn't stay together. It was a handle. So I have to I need to work. I need to continue. It's always a work in progress. It's never over. Some of the other things I want you to know about me is that I'm a serial entrepreneur and an income diversity maven. I was coming up with really cool names to call that, but basically I just love me a good side hustle. So I am a social media and brand manager, and that is what I do professionally for my company. That's my full-time job. I write articles and I have them published in magazines. I get paid to do that. I speak at conferences. I get paid to do that. I create online courses for me and for others. So I know how to do online courses through like Fresh Learn and Thinkific and things like that, that I sell for myself and my company. I've also, just like I encourage Melissa to sell her knowledge of creating webinars and consulting on that, I do that for online course content. And so I've got some clients that we only build online courses, and that's what I do. And I get paid for that. I have affiliate relationships. There's certain brands and products that I partner with and represent that I like, that I vouch for. And so whenever people use those products, I get paid for that. I'm also a CE and content liaison. So I consult for companies who are creating CE events because they want to know how to, speakers that are out in the industry and content that's important and things that are trending right now. And I use some of my brand management and my social media know-how, also my vast network of people that I know, and I consult for them and I help them put together really great CE events, and I get paid to do that. I also just do partnership consulting. So whenever companies want to work with affiliates and partners, I jump in on those calls and I help them navigate some of those conversations. And I'm the translator because we have veterinary people in the veterinary space who don't speak brand management, social media, and digital. So I'm kind of consult on that space as well. And then I also have an Etsy store and I sell tumblers and coffee cups, and I make funny, snarky, really rude tumblers that I think are hilarious. And occasionally I sell one or two of them. So I have e-commerce. So I have several different things going. None of these are, well, except for social media and brand management through Dog Days is a full-time job. I do it on the side. I do it whenever it works. I do it whenever I have time in my schedule to say yes. Sometimes I say yes too much, but I still do it and I get paid for all these little things, and I have income diversity.
Did you talk about your canning class yet?
Oh, crap. Nope, that was the other one I forgot. So yes, recently I started teaching canning because I garden and I like to preserve food. And my sister called me out on Facebook because someone was saying she wanted to learn how to can. And I said, sure, I can show you how to do that. That's easy. And 100 people later commenting on this one post saying they wanted to learn how to can, I actually put together a class and asked my church if I could borrow the fellowship hall. And I had 50 people in that first class to learn how to do canning. So I got paid for that too. So that's a whole nother side hustle that just kind of happened. They don't typically fall in your lap like that. But that was random, but it is based on a skill set. And I'll get more into that a little bit later of how that plays in. So today, this is what we're going to talk about. I just went over my introduction. We're going to talk about dealing with the emotions of the career shift. So I am relating it to being terminated or laid off, but it's also whenever you have to make that tough decision to make a change. For me, it was the equivalent to being fired. Even though I knew that there was no way out, my body fired me. I could not physically or was not capable of staying in veterinary medicine in the capacity that I was in. Because of scleroderma, I had to go on chemotherapy drugs, and I'm still on those drugs today, and I'll be on them forever. But it was going to reduce my immune system so much so that if I were around people and animals, I was in jeopardy of getting really, really sick. And so when I started those chemotherapy drugs, my doctor said, scleroderma this sucks. It's going to limit your life greatly, but you're going to be able to live a life. You're just going to have to rebuild a new one. All you have to do is just don't be around animals and don't be around people, and you'll be just fine. And I'm like, well, apparently you didn't look at my chart at what I do for a living, because you just ruined everything. So it took me a little while. I had a pity party for a little while until I could figure out what I wanted to do. So we're going to talk about some of those emotions. We're not going to go too deep into that because I know you're really interested in hearing some of the ideas and some of the ways that people are creating additional income for themselves and their practices. So we're going to have to talk about understanding yourself and your goals. It's one thing for me to go tell you to start an Etsy store and sell stickers or sell funny tumblers. But if you're not creative, if you hate computers, if you hate dealing with Shopify and all those other things, then that's not a good fit. So we have to talk about and get you to understand who you are, really how much time you're going to allocate to this, and what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish with it. If you don't have that in mind, then you can't really develop what that side hustle is going to be, because you haven't even done the first step. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how to build a personal brand outside of your world in veterinary medicine, and then also how we can blend those two, because really they are one and the same. But I want to encourage you to build a safe personal and professional brand. Then we're going to talk about some of those income diversity ideas and side hustle ideas. So if anyone has any questions as we're going, please pop it into the chat, and Melissa will reach out to me and let me know that you have a question. I'm happy to answer as I go. I get kind of lost in the mix whenever I'm an attendee and the presenter is just trucking right along and my question relates back to something in the beginning and it's like kind of not in the right context anymore. So I'm happy to answer questions as we go. So dealing with the emotions of a job loss can impact you. And I've had a lot of conversations, especially recently. It's been very heartbreaking recently, and I'm a casualty myself. One of my side hustles that I used to have listed on that slide, I actually had to take off because I was laid off several months ago. And so it was budgeting, it was a company issue, but I still took it very personally that I was found to be expendable. It really slapped me in the face that I'm a number on an Excel spreadsheet. And even though I know that, I run a company, I've also been in management, I have fired people, I understand the concept and I know where the company was coming from. It did not change how I felt and those emotions that I had initially. I was shocked. I remember it was on a Zoom call. And so whenever we were talking, they were like, well, the company's doing this, doing that. And I'm just listening to it like it's a, State of the Union type of thing. And then it was like, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And this is the criteria that we're following in order to make these cuts. And I was like, okay, cool. Still listening as though it's like these, we're just having a conversation. And then as I'm listening to the criteria and I'm like, and I had to ask him like, wait, is that me? And he's like, yeah, unfortunately, you're one of the ones that we're having to cut. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. And that was the only thing I could really say or do at that moment, because it didn't really hit me quite yet. I was still more in the shock and like, really? Oh, okay. So I definitely went through the shock and disbelief. And then about, I don't know, 2 hours later, I went immediately into anger and anxiety. Angry because the criteria that they picked, I determined was stupid. And I was irritated by it. And I still am to this day, but I think that's just because, I'm a person who was laid off, so I'm going to be irritated and angry about it. And then the anxiety, I lost some of that stable income that I was living off of. Like it was a part of my budget. I was paying bills based on this income. I'd had this job for 4 years. So the fact that was just like, okay, it's gone. Like, oh my God. And it was a major impact into our entire life, not just a job. This was part of my schedule. This is part of my income. This is part of what I do. And this is part of who I am. So I had to really start looking at some of that stuff. And then I did move into shame and embarrassment, because nobody likes to be the fired guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that got laid off. You don't want to be the guy that got terminated or have to explain, because I had built a lot of my brand and my profile and my communication styles based on this relationship that I had with this company. So how do you just not do that anymore? Like, boom, we broke up. We're not together anymore. And then you have to talk about it and explain it. So there's a little bit of maneuvering and working that has to happen there, and brand management that has to happen there. I felt embarrassed telling my husband, because, here I am, I'm Rhonda, I'm supposed to be CVPM, public speaker, all of these things, but I was still very touchable and very, everybody can be fired. Everybody can get sick. Everybody is susceptible to something that can happen in their career that causes a major shift. And I think any of you, I won't ask for a show of hands because I don't want to do that to anybody and lump us all in the shame and embarrassment box. But if you really think about it from your own perspective and you've been through this, you realize how human this makes you, and that it potentially gives, for me, it gave me that drive of never again will I ever have one source of income and be beholden to one employer. Never again. That's now happened to me twice, where my entire career was CVPM. And when I got sick, my career was done. I lost all of my income. The second time being laid off, it was a part-time income because I'm building my company. I had a backup. I did not go completely from a salary to no salary. So I did learn that lesson, but it's still, whenever you lose that part-time income, it still sucked. I'm not going to say it didn't, but I won't ever have just one source of income ever again. It just won't happen. So after a while, I did start looking for areas of relief, in terms of just started feeling relief, because then I started looking at that job like, well, it actually kind of sucked in this way, and it was a little toxic in this way. And, you start building that, okay, I actually might be better off with this new opportunity that's ahead of me. And that led me into being hopeful again, because it's like, okay, this actually gives me a lot more space in my calendar and in my day and in my week to build either other side hustles, which quickly became canning classes and other things, but also just to do a little bit more in-depth work with my clients and with some of the things that were going on in my company. So it actually turned into something better, but it's because I had that mindset to turn it into something better. So you can't go from devastation or being terminated or laid off or redistributed or being found redundant without, you got to do a little bit of work. And I encourage you to do a little bit of work on your emotions and where you're going to be at. Because if you're making at least for me, I don't want to make an assumption about you, but if I would have just jumped out there and said, well, I'm going to start this side hustle and it's a grudge side hustle and I'm just going to do better because they're going to be really regret ever letting me go. And I'm not going to maintain that work, because that energy that's coming from that anger won't be there long-term either, because we will go through the cycles of emotion. So I encourage you to do that. So that way, when you start a business or start a side hustle or start a new income stream, that you're doing it from a place of calm and stability and planning and priority, if that makes sense.
So not being reactive to the situation, you mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Don't start a reactive business.
I did share in the chat my story, just a brief thing. I know you haven't seen it. You know all about it. So, and just to let people know, I'm not embarrassed that I was terminated. It sucked at the time, but I bounced back, and unfortunately, not all the people involved in that situation are doing as well as I am. So just to say that. So I think it's something to not be embarrassed. And I don't think you should always brag about it and close circles all the time. I don't mean that, but I think it's okay to talk about it and admit things that are embarrassing to you. And, and you're not alone 100%. So just to add that, since you wanted me to share some stuff too. So yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I think, exactly. Just normalizing the fact that it happens.
And I'm a good manager, and it happened to me.
Yeah.
CVPM. I'm now a PHR California. I have CCFP, like I have all these things, and it happened to me too. So
yeah. Yeah. It sucks, but going through it and working through the emotions and not letting it hold you hostage either. I do talk to a lot of people who are like, oh, but when I move forward or when I go talk to the next person, I'm going to have to answer for that. Well, not really. You're going to have an answer, but you don't have to answer for it. It's something that happened in your space, in your time, in your season, but it's not something that's going to hold you or restrain you, because you can build what you want out of your life going forward. And the one thing that I did learn is from all of the roles that I've had and all the jobs that I have kept, as well as the ones that I have been released from, is I learned a ton from those experiences. And what you do is you turn around and you capitalize those in your resume, your CV, whatever, and make those into skill sets that are now marketable. So monetize it. So don't beat yourself up and look down on yourself because you've been terminated or let go or whatever, even if it's been multiple times. Just, keep on going. Like I said, it's never over. So we're past the emotions. We have dealt with what has happened. Let's start talking about ourselves, understanding ourselves and our goals and what it is that we want to build and try to accomplish. So first, before you build an income stream or any kind of side hustle or any kind of side business or anything within the practice that's kind of an additional revenue stream, you got to understand your core values. That's going to be what you fall back on when you're tired, when things are hard, whenever you don't know how to move forward. That's where you're going to fall back. It's the same thing you have for your practice, your mission, vision, and value statements. It's the same thing for you. You need to have that. So if you know what your fallback is, you know where your soft landing place is, so you can get back up and start over. So write that out for yourself. What is it based on? What matters most to you? And what are you going to do to help in people and with your product or your idea? Then what we're going to do is we're going to identify our strengths. So you need to make an inventory of your skills, your experiences, your knowledge, anything that makes you uniquely you. Now, this is the hard part. People don't realize how much they actually know. Like with my conversation with Melissa the other day when we were talking about webinars, when we first got started, she and I did a lot of tutorials together on building WordPress websites because I built mine just a little bit before her. So I'd kind of paved the way a little bit in terms of making all the mistakes and figuring them out. And then whenever she launched her business, then it was easier for me to sit with her and say, okay, let's start this together. And then she went on and blasted way past what I know about it and built her own and has done a really great job with it. So she took that initial learning and developed it into a skill set. Now, there are people that specialize in working on WordPress websites. So when she argues that I only know WordPress, I don't like the word only, and I don't like the word just. There are people who only have WordPress. So yay, that's fine. It'll work. But she has developed these skill sets that she didn't even realize are actually in demand. And being on the CE and content creation side of things where I'm at now, I talk to people all the time like, man, we really want to do webinars. We just don't know how to get started. Well, she knows how to get started. So that right there is a consulting space that she could go into for additional income. So those are kinds of things that I think of and I bring up, and I want you, as you're making your list about yourself, think about that. So I see like some of you are in the practice right now. Do you have areas that you're really good at with training? Can you write a mean SOP? Can you do training protocols? Can you write handbooks? Are there things that you can do within the practice that are related to what you do that you happen to be really good and passionate about? Maybe you can create an online course about telephone services. There's things that you can do within your space. There's also, are you a master gardener? Do you know how to do canning? Are you good at crochet? There's a lot of things that you can do outside of that people want to know about. And finding the right places to monetize that can be tricky, but there are spaces that you can do that. We're going to get into some of them. So that leads into your passions. What are you passionate about? What do you know? What can you teach? Or what do you know that is a hole in the industry that you may not know everything about, but you want to learn more about so you can teach it and become the expert in that area? And then finally, define your purpose. So who is it that you want to work with? Why do you want to work with them? And why is it that your idea is going to solve their problem? And that's going to help you identify your customer or your client. If you become a coach or a consultant or sell tumblers on Etsy, who is it that you're trying to develop those for? And what is it that they're going to do? Are they going to be funny? So you're going to lighten and brighten their day with some veterinary humor. Are you going to do uplifting and powerful quotes? Anything like that. So let's talk about building your brand. I want to encourage you to remember, and a lot of people, I see this on social media so often, but your reputation precedes you. And I know there's several of us CVPMs in the room. Do not flinch or raise your hand, but we do cyber sleuthing whenever it's time to do some hiring. I mean, we know veterinary medicine is so freaking small. We know everybody, or somebody knows you and somebody's going to talk about you. It happens. And even if we aren't able to do the cyber sleuthing ourselves, we have people who've done it and can report to us and tell us, hey, did you see this on social media, or did you see this on Facebook? It happens all the time. You know, we may not intentionally do it, and I'm not saying that we do. I'm just saying that it happens, and that people will tell you things. You know people's reputation. And then what's worse is if they find you on social media and you've got this really tragic personal profile on one side and you're trying to be professional on the other side, how does that match up? And what is that potential employer going to be thinking and saying about you? So just points to think about. So your career is only one part of who you are, one part of your brand. It is an important part, but it's just one part. Your experiences are also another part that fall within your brand. And then your skill sets. Those are two different things. So your experiences can be, I've been terminated or laid off, or I'm burning out and I need a career change. I'm tired of management, or I'm tired of teching. I need to come up with something that's going to fortify my income. Or I love what I do. I want to stay with what I do. I don't make enough, so I need to come up with something else. So I'm not always saying that the answer is leave veterinary medicine. In fact, I want to sustain you in veterinary medicine, and I want to build the industry of veterinary medicine. But what I'm finding is veterinary medicine is growing past the roles of a veterinarian, a technician, a manager, and a CSR in a kennel. There's way more to the veterinary space than those roles. So you, as an entire unique being, bring a tremendous amount to veterinary space, but you also have a tremendous amount of opportunity to build your own brand and to make additional income. So let's think about these things, and you can answer it out loud or you can answer it to yourself. But will your friends or colleagues' descriptions of you match your own view of you? And how closely does it match? So do you think about yourself the way your friends think about you? And that the other inverse to that is, what do your friends or colleagues, how do they describe you? What do they say about you? You know, and do you believe it? Now, I will tell you, and this is where Melissa will actually lecture me, is I am not good at self-promotion. It just makes my skin crawl. It makes me very cringy. I don't like, and I know I'm in social media and brand management is completely contrary, because I can shout from the rooftops about my clients and about my colleagues and about events that are coming up and promote them and market them. I just don't like doing it for me personally. So it's a fight that I have internally, and that's just my own transparency for you guys. But the way Melissa yeah.
I'm only interjecting because I thought it was my computer, but it looks like your audio and your video feed there's like a lag.
Okay.
So I don't know why. Any clue? Is there anything on, like you're talking?
I don't see any reason.
Okay. All right. I don't know if it matters. If I don't look at you, then it's fine. I can hear you perfectly. So I'm sorry to interrupt here. I texted Joan and be like, hey, does this just me? And she said, no. And I was like, okay, it's not just me. So that's why I figured I would just share. So if there was something that we can reset, but if not, we'll keep going. So the video, now you're fine. And Sandy said,
okay, so I'm caught up.
So I guess we're caught up. So we'll keep going. Thank you.
Okay. If it continues, I can turn off my camera. Sometimes if you're doing both, you can kind of bog the system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I want to avoid doing that because that's kind of, but yeah, let me know if it continues. So, and then a next thing to think of is, will your online profiles be a good representation of you and your brand? This is where it gets really tricky, because some people think that their Facebook and their Instagram and all their social profiles are private and personal, and that they shouldn't really be connected to their professional space. That does not happen. That's not a real world that we live in. They absolutely are. And people will look at your professional, judge your professional, like going for a job is an example. They're going to look you up and see what you're up to, see who you are, check your references, talk to people. Like, you are going to be out there. They're vetting you to make sure you're a good fit for the practice. So will what they see online about you and read about you and hear about you from other people, will it match up to what you're presenting on your resume? And then will your brand hold up to the cyber sleuthing? So again, I will confess that I have not cyber sleuthed on potential candidates. I have not, but I have had people who will come and tell me after we've done a working interview or a observation interview, they would come and say, did you know that so-and-so worked at such and such, and they know this? And because we're such a small industry, we know people. and people know people, and we talk about it. So that's the point I'm making, is that it does happen, and people have to find out who you are, and they're going to do their homework. It makes good sense to do that. You just have to do it legally. So behave.
Maybe
Yeah.
talk about it with your team and say, I'm not hiring this person because, so you shouldn't do that you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't get into a lot of details about stuff. Yeah. But just know that you are susceptible to that kind of thing. And it could be any of us at any range or level in our careers.
And
so
talking about branding, do you want people to focus on what they like about themselves and use that, what's your thought? So I'm a cat person, as my name says on my Zoom, that I'm a cat lover. I wear cat ears a lot when I do presentations at conferences, right? And everyone wants to find where I got my ears from. So that's my brand. I don't wear it down the street randomly, but I wear it for when it's appropriate through veterinary stuff. So should people embrace those kinds of things, whether it's cat ears or something else that they connect with and that they can be part of, so people can identify them as that space?
Absolutely. So you can have outward branding for sure. For me, it's my blue hair. Blue hair started a while back, and honestly, I dyed my hair blue to surprise my granddaughter for her birthday when we went to the zoo when she turned 8 years old. She just turned 12. And what happened is people were like, oh my God, I really like your hair. And I was like, dude, it's randomly blue. Like, okay. And I've never really been a dye my hair person. Like, that just wasn't me. In fact, I was probably the person, if I'm really honest, back in the day, was like, oh, they have different colored hair. I don't know if they're a good fit for the practice. Oh my God. And so, going forward now, if I don't have blue hair and I've let it go and I'm kind of like, my glitter is kind of showing through more, people ask me like, oh, you stopped you're not blue anymore. And I'm like, even my mom's like, it looks kind of natural on you. I'm like, it's blue. Like, seriously? But it's become so ingrained in my brand that people recognize me as that. And so whenever I don't have blue hair, I look different to them. And so, yes, I embrace part of your brand, but also embrace your experiences, and really going back to some of the negative things that have happened. Try to look for the lessons that you learned in those and embrace them and turn them into experiences and skill sets that you can now bring forward. So always try to do that positive spin and integrate that into your brand, if that makes sense. I hope I'm not getting too hippy dippy on you, that my point's getting across. If I am, let me know. So let's move forward and we'll talk about some of the income diversity and some of the ideas. And this is where I would love for you guys to pop in, because I collect these ideas all the time. And every time I go somewhere, I always ask the question, how many side hustlers do we have in here? And it is amazing to me. And I get so energized. There's so many people. You would be shocked how many people raise their hand in a veterinary conference because they've got side hustles. And I'm talking DVMs, I'm talking specialists, I'm talking everybody. They're raising their hands. I mean, I have come across authors who are writing sci-fi books, like weird, crazy sci-fi books that make no sense to anybody. And they're just like writing it, and it's probably going to be amazing. I have come across people who create stickers and sell really funny stickers. And I mean, even in the veterinary space on Facebook, we've all seen it because we're all in the same groups together. We've all seen all of the things that people are selling. They're writing management books. They are writing hospitality books. They are creating courses and all kinds of things. Like, it's tremendous to me what people are coming up with. So some of the most common things that people think of are the veterinary writing. So doing articles and educational content. And I'm going to get in the educational content kind of comes in two places. So I'm going to break it into two segments here in a minute. But I'm talking about educational content like blog articles, things for your website, things that you can put some affiliate links in and monetize, things that you can capture client interest. They can read it. They can learn about what you are writing about, what's important to you, and see if it relates to them. And then I've seen other people where they're writing articles for publications and getting paid to do that. So I will tell you, okay, this is going to sound weird and awkward, but try to hear me. Veterinary publications, it's cool that you get selected to do it. I was like, oh my God, they picked me. I'm now published. I'm amazing. This is tremendous. And it's true. Like, I mean, I worked very hard and I've got street cred and now I'm published. But I will tell you, a lot of those publications are desperate for content. They need people to write articles. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and put your ideas out there and write your articles. You do not have to be the tip top of the spear in veterinary medicine to get published. You have a voice. Your uniqueness is tremendous, and you can write articles based on your experiences and what you're doing in your practice, in your world, in your life. And those publications they'll be interested in it because I'm always being asked for content. I'm always being asked for articles. Last month I published 2 or wrote 2. So, don't be hard on yourself and think you have to be something in order to qualify to do that. And it's usually pretty easy, like 1,500 words. It's not a white paper. It doesn't have to be scientifically researched. So go easy on yourself. Oh, I see the chat blowing up. I must have irritated people.
Chat that if anyone was interested in writing articles, I didn't know how you were going to dive into it as much. Obviously, you and I both have connections, so they could email me if they wanted to get connected with VPN Plus or Veterinary Practice News or different things. So it looks like Sandy has a doctor who might be interested. So
excellent. Yeah,
I'm as a freelance writer, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm very connected to Veterinary Practice News and Veterinary Practice News Plus and that sort of stuff. So yes, I can make those introductions and get those things plugged in and going. So yeah. And there's just a lot of opportunities once you start doing that. Then some of the CE conferences that you get invited to lecture at, they want to know where you've been published. So doing that work, getting published, you go, oh, well, here's my links. And boom, now you've got a little bit more street cred and you're able to get into the speaking circuit. So a little bit of insight in how it worked. I didn't know that really going into it, but there have been some conferences that I've sent my abstracts to that have said, well, oh, okay, we're really interested. Where have you been published? And I've been able to go back and show them, I've got 15 articles on Veterinary Practice News. Here they are. And they hire me. So that's kind of cool. So e-commerce, there are a million ways you can do e-commerce. You can do e-commerce for the practice as well as for yourself personally. So Etsy, Shopify, Amazon, you can sell products on Amazon. You can sell products on Walmart now, walmart.com. So they can be a fulfillment center and you're making money off of that stuff. So there's a lot of e-commerce opportunities, making stickers, books, planners, templates, forms, documents, all of that stuff. So those of you still in practice, training materials. So many companies are looking for training materials. And one of the things I get asked a lot about is when I'm talking to industry partners are the vendors. Those are the ones that come in and bug you whenever you're working and they want to talk to you about buying their stuff. So working with those companies, they're always looking for educational material or management consultants who can give them some insight on how to break through the receptionist blockade that you've put up to get to you. So they want to know how to do some of that. So they're always seeking consultants who are in the veterinary space because many of them are not, and they don't know how to relate to us. And I have done that, and I've been paid many times to work in that capacity, but there are a lot of companies out there that are looking for that. So something to think about. And basically it's that bridge building and relationship building between the industry partners and the veterinary team. And honestly, I make fun of it and I'm a little sarcastic about it, but without those vendor relationships, we wouldn't get a lot of the free stuff we get. We would not get a lot of the support that we get. And we wouldn't get a lot of the insight and knowledge of what's going on in the industry if those folks weren't coming in and informing us on things. So those relationships really are crucial to the success of our practice and the success of our teams. So consulting on those guys and monetizing it, come on. Creating templates, creating forms. If you have a form that you create in your practice that is amazing, then create a generic version of that, not your practice's information. Create a generic version. You can put that on Etsy, sell it as a digital download. You can put that on Etsy and not have to babysit it again. It just perpetually sells when people discover it, and it's automatically downloaded to their files. You're not doing anything with it. So set it and forget it. And it's residual income for you. So more ideas about those types of things, inventory templates. There's all kinds of things that you wouldn't even realize that you do that you could monetize. And then in digital art, I've created digital art using AI. Recently, I've been playing a lot with AI on content creation and art creation. So I've created a lot of digital art that is unique, and I put it on my Etsy tumblers and I'm selling it over there. And lately, people have really enjoyed I have pugs. I'm a pug mom, so I contribute to veterinary, the industry myself. So I take pugs, and I did like a Halloween pug themed coffee cup and a Valentine, themed pug thing. And people are favoriting it. And I've had a couple of people buy them, and it's like, oh, they like my pugs. So you just never know. I mean, I've done I created a funny Tumblr that has a big cow face. Like, it's just a big cow face. And it basically says, it's really snarky. And I'm sorry, Melissa, you're going to be really mad at me because you're recording this. But it says, the boobs are real, but the smile's fake. So, just funny, weird things that are snarky, but people enjoy that and people buy it. So another way to just generate some of that income. So I'm going to go over my list and some of the areas that people are generating income right now. And then I want to hear some of your ideas, and I'll answer some questions and that sort of thing. So I'm almost at the wrap up here. So like I said, I'm a social media and brand manager. I create content for veterinary practices, and I also work with those industry partners and people within the industry who are starting their own brands. So for instance, I have veterinary conferences that are my client. I have veterinary practices that are my client. I have individuals. I have a doctor who just recently signed on. She's starting a coaching business. And so I'm working with her. So there are lots of different areas within the space that you can create your own brand and find ways of monetizing it. Write articles, do blogs, put blogs on your website for your practice. Don't just write a boring blog, but write a blog. I'm not a fan of the ones you get with your website that just comes with the website because it's boring and everybody has the same one. I'm sorry, but you do. They're all the same. So write your own. It's only 2 or 3 paragraphs, but find links to things. Create an Amazon affiliate account for your practice and link to the harnesses that you love, link to the muzzles and masks that you use in the practice that you want your clients to buy. Grab those affiliate links, put those in your blog articles. So that way your clients are actually getting exactly the product that you recommend, and you're getting a little bit of money back from it because you're an Amazon affiliate for your practice.
And I'll talk about right here because you said leashes and harnesses, and I'm going to tell you, we all hate those round, weird globe cat carriers that you can't get the cats out of, but they're like a hipstery thing that are all over the social media stuff. So maybe put information about what cat carriers are the best to transport and easily take out and all the safety stuff. I love those. One of my hospitals actually did that, Melissa's hospital. She went on and got a wish list and put it on her website so people could see what the best carriers were for safety for the cat and all that. So I thought that was awesome.
Okay. So if she did that, I need to talk to her because she better have done it through an affiliate.
I don't know if she did. Probably, but we'll ask her.
Yes. So when you create those wish lists, make sure you have to sign up to be an Amazon affiliate, but it's an easy thing to do. So as an example, whenever my husband's looking for something, we each have our own Amazon list. So that way we don't know what we bought each other for Christmas. And so when he's looking for something, I send him a link, but it's my Amazon affiliate link. So it actually routes through Dog Days and I get a percentage back. Now you're not going to retire on your Amazon money. I mean, you have to be doing this like 12 full-time jobs, but every little bit helps, right? It's another source of income coming through. So any of those products, like, we don't carry Forbid on the shelf, but if you've got some of those kids that enjoy eating, almond roca, then you want to make sure you're recommending Forbid or push them to your pharmacy, but use your blogs to actually link to the products that are going to benefit your practice or benefit you personally, either one. Push people to your online pharmacy. Link to those products, link to the foods, link to the medications that aren't moving as fast or the preventatives, that sort of thing. So don't waste that real estate on your website. You've got valuable real estate with your blog articles. They're very important. So keep that in mind and think about that. If you have a company that you automatically work with that just pre-populates blog articles, reach out to them and ask them if you can send some links to have them uploaded into those articles. If the answer is no, then shame on them. You've got a limitation there that you should really think about. Most of them will. I work with busy sites with several of my clients, and we populate blog articles. We send blog articles in for our clients, and I tell them, I want you to use this picture and I want these links embedded. And they do it. They're great about it. So use that real estate. You have a fantastic website, use it. Become an online course creator. So there's no reason that you as an individual or your practice can't create online courses. Teach how to integrate or introduce a new cat to the household. Sell it as a course for $5 and offer it to your clients. Or offer it to your clients for free, but everybody else, general population, sell it for $10. So there are so many things that you do. Now, when you're thinking about an online course, I'll give you a little trick. Whenever I recommend to practices for creating online courses, go to your receptionist and get them to list the top 10 things they get asked over and over and over. What's your FAQs? And whatever those questions are, those are your first courses you create. Answer those FAQs. Now, don't do the ones about your hours. That's not a course, but you know what I mean? The medical cases, the things that are going to be that clients are most curious about, answer those. What is it that happens during a spay? What's the difference between a spay and a neuter? Things that we just take for granted because it's so old news to us. These clients and potential clients don't know, and that's an income source. Think about being a CE liaison or a content creator. You can be a presenter, but you can also be the one that helps support that in creating those presentations. There are people out there that need that kind of support. I have a ton of presentations in outline format that I haven't even built into PowerPoint or Canva yet because I just don't have the time. So maybe you're not the face of a presenter, but maybe you're the background and you can help support in creating presentations and stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And then again, the e-commerce, my Etsy store is Vintage Heart Designs. I started it. It is a very, 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 very side hustle for me. It's one of those things that like at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee and I'm kind of just feeling creative, I will design a cup and I'll load one up. So it's new and I'm developing it, but I'm also testing it. So I want to see how it's going to go in the industry because I want to be able to recommend it strongly. And then, like I said, I'm teaching canning classes, totally random, but it's $25 a student. And at this point, I haven't done the recent math. The very first class I did, I'll tell you that with the registrations we had, I made $900. And that was just one class talking about intro to safety in canning practices. So I've done 2 classes since then, just to give you an idea. There's also, you can be a veterinary consultant, you can be a content creator. I'm always looking for people who want to create social media content, but they're on the veterinary side of things, because I have found that people who are outside of the veterinary space don't know how to speak the language, don't know how to sound like a veterinary practice would sound. And I'm looking for people who can be me and do that. Right now, a lot of it is me, and I'm not begrudging that, but I have space to grow and to build that area of my company. There are other companies out there who are looking for the same thing. So if you want to work part-time at midnight on a Saturday night and you're in the veterinary space, you can reach out to some of these guys because they're looking for content creators who just want to earn some cash, right? You can publish a book. Every single one of you could write a book, guaranteed. I have published a book on Amazon, and it didn't take me any time at all. I didn't even have to spell the big words, because honestly, it was an empty book. It was a journal, and it was just something that was really snarky. And I actually sold one. It was kind of cute, but I was testing it. Like, how does this process work? How do you build a journal? How do you list it on Amazon KDP, which is what it's called? And Amazon KDP is how you self-publish a book. That's the website you have to use. And so when you see those books like Oops, I Became a Manager and some of those other ones, I believe I don't know for sure, but I think those are Amazon KDP because they're self-published. There are other people out there, like Debbie Boone just published a book. She went through a publisher. She did not self-publish. So there's different ways of doing it. The Debbie Boone way was more expensive, cost more, had to have more money up front. And the self-publishing, you just got to write the content and put it together and publish it, and then try to get people to buy it. But you can do it. Online course creators. There's also Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, and Guru. So each of you have a unique set of skills that you could outsource to things like Fiverr. Again, content creation, form creation, documents. I have a friend that is really good at creating forms. So I call her, I'm like, D, I need this form that's going to go da, 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 da. It needs to have this thing, it's for meeting notes, and I want to have action items. I want to have dates. I want to have this, that, and the other. And she sends me some templates and I pick the one I like, and then I pay her for that form. So again, it's a side hustle for her, and it's something that supports me in what I'm doing. You could be a traveling team trainer. You can go to other practices and train the things that you know. You could get into affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing would be things like, I'm an affiliate for Canva, although I always forget to give out my link and I don't ever actually do it right. But I am technically an affiliate. So if people use my link, then I get some credit for them signing up for Canva. Also, Constant Contact. How many of y'all used Constant Contact or MailChimp for your newsletters that go out, or your email newsletters that go out for the practice? If you're not sending those, shame on you. We need to talk. But for those that are using Constant Contact or MailChimp, you can actually become an affiliate for them. Put a link at the bottom of your newsletter saying, I'm an affiliate. If you use our link to sign up for a newsletter service, you actually get money back. For Constant Contact in particular, I make $17 every month because I have a client that signed up to use it. $17, and I don't do anything ever again. So it's just little things like that in the affiliate marketing space. And then like Melissa's doing, she's working really hard to build her YouTube channel. And there's also podcasting. Podcasting is huge right now. And each of us have a unique idea and a unique set of experiences that potentially could lend itself to podcasting. I don't know how much I could talk about canning in particular. For me personally, podcasts are kind of annoying. It's just somebody, much probably like this presentation, someone jabbering in your ear nonstop. But that is monetized. There's a lot of real estate within a podcast at the beginning, the middle, the end, all the different advertising opportunities. We manage a few podcasts from my company, and there's advertising space. Those are sponsors that are paying people to get mentioned in those podcasts. So there's money there. And the same thing with the YouTube channel, growing your viewership, getting people to see you, getting your subscribers, your followers, your watch hours, and then you get monetized. So finding that unique thing that people want to see and know more about. In the veterinary space, there's a lot of stuff that you guys could be doing. You know, I see a pharmacy shelf right now, and just talking about inventory or running labs, that sort of thing. Those types of things can be on YouTube channels for the practice and can also generate revenue for the practice as well as you personally. So that's it. We made it. And almost, yeah, right on time because we started at 12:03. Take it. I think I can even do something funny. Watch. I could do mic drop.
Oh, I was like, what? I
saw
it.
So I wanted to thank you. These are all my handles and contact information. So I would love for you guys to connect with me. Sandy, you know how to get me. But just to hear more about what you guys are doing. So share with me what you guys are doing in the chat, and Melissa, give me whatever questions we had.
Yeah. Well, one thing is she frozen to anyone else? Oh, wait, she unfroze. Okay. So sometimes I can't tell if it's me and my internet. I don't know. But what are the things, do you guys have questions for her, or things you want to know more about how to do or how to get into, or stuff that you want to share that you have done, that, you know, years ago, Peter Weinstein was like, I worked at All Cat Practice for the first 12 years of my career. So when I left there, we were doing a big training for our specialty practice. And he said, Melissa, you need to train the veterinarians on how to handle cats. So he was insisting that I did that. And I didn't think I really was qualified because I'm not a technician or a doctor, but I did put in the time, and I trained 120 veterinarians in a day on how to be feline friendly. And that has turned into big things. I literally did a presentation last week. I made a reel. Now I have another hospital reaching out. I've done this presentation probably 50 times. So just whatever you can do. Sandy wants to know more about affiliates on Amazon.
We'll talk. We'll talk and we'll get your practice set up. It really is just super easy. Let me, let's see. I'm just going to show you guys really quick. I'm going to change my screen. Let's see. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a Google screen?
It says thank you.
Okay, hang on.
Now
I'm
you're
going to do it
back.
again. Okay, yep. Bear
Yeah.
with me. Here we go. Okay, so now you see Google screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
No.
going to go to Amazon because I'm going to show you.
No, I see Amazon. Yes, Google Stream. Yes, sorry.
Okay, Broncos versus Chiefs, right?
Not yet.
See that?
It's a black screen right now. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a lag. Okay, so this is Amazon. This is me. So right up here is called Amazon Associates. That's what you need to go to, Amazon Associates. It's a stripe that comes across your page. And so when I bring up Amazon, so say I want to find a muzzle. There's a bra. How's that? Let's look up muzzles. Okay, and let's just pretend like I like that one. So I'm going to click on it. Now, what I do is I go up here to Site Stripe and I go to text. This link, if I text that to you, Sandy, with that link, you can buy that. This exact muzzle is going to come to this link and I get credit for it. And I'll make a little bit of money off of that because I used my link to send it to you for that muzzle.
Mm.
Okay. So what you do is you copy that link. It's through Dog Days. You get the link, you just copy it, put it into your blog. Or create a shopping list for your website and you can get text and image. So it's actually going to create some code that's going to create that image and you just put that image on your website as well. So you can put that on your side banner. You can create a recommended reading list. Maybe you've got some training books that you want your clients to be able to read, management books, whatever. You can actually create and grab links and it's just that easy. You just find whatever it is that you want to link to and go to Site Stripe. So it's called Amazon Associate and you have to fill out that. There's an application. You have to give them all the information. And then you also have to route how you want your money. So you have to give them an account. I recommend just kind of having a separate little savings account that you push that into and they will pay you. So yeah, super cool. And really easy to do. And it kind of just lives forever. You have to have, I think there's a rule where you have to sell at least one thing every 90 days or something like that, or you have to redo it, something like that. But if you promote it enough and you're pushing it out there, I mean, if there's, say you're doing a puppy class and this is the puppy wish list, create a puppy wish list of everything that pet owner needs for a new puppy, shampoos, preventatives, leashes, harnesses, brushes, beds, blankets, toys, everything. Create that list, grab your Amazon affiliate links for each of those items, and then do a QR code next to each one. So that way they can just take a picture on their phone in the practice and it immediately goes to their Amazon. And then they buy it right then and there because that bed looked amazing or an incredible cat tree, things you would never sell in the practice, but that you still could sell as the practice. Cat trees, all kinds of stuff. I mean, anything you can think of. Catios for people's backyard. Catios are like, $300, $400, $500. You'd never sell that in a practice, but you would recommend it for those guys who are still going to have their cats going outdoors and you've been yelling at them not to do it. So sell a catio. It's the best of both worlds and you get money.
Very cool.
Make sense?
Yeah, very cool. Does anyone else have any?
I'll stop my share so you don't see all my tabs.
There's nothing else in the chat at this
Any
moment.
other questions? Okay.
Sorry.
Did I give you the information you thought you were going to get today?
I was happy. I can't, yeah, I assume it looks like she's talking to me. Sandy says yes and then some. So
Good.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Rhonda, for
Okay, well, I invite you all to reach out.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, reach out to Rhonda if you have any questions about what she did. I can send out her email if you don't have it when I send out the copy of the video. So everybody will get a copy of that. So you may get emails then. So